Well, I haven't been printing off any emails in a long time, so the paper I'm going to use is this one from an ancient book report that was kicking around in the garage and the stuff. So I'm just going to use this really old notebook that my kids never really used, and this is going to be my book, which is from summer camp in 2004 that my daughter went to, because it goes with my ocean theme, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, I've moved on to adding the signatures, which is the way you fasten the sets of pages into the cover. And the cover is a file folder like my first junk journal. So I'm using the same, doing it kind of the same way I did for my first junk journal. This is just black acrylic yarn. Whoops. And so what I've done is I poked some holes through here, 4 holes, and I had already reinforced the spine because it is just a file folder. I reinforced it by adding another strip, gluing down a strip in the middle. And so I also poked 4 holes into the actual signature. So those are my 4 holes, and it's worked out quite nicely. I like the way that it's done. So I started, poked in at the bottom, went through, poked it back down there, went through, and I think it looks pretty neat. So that's how I'm going to do all the rest. So they're held in like this, and then I'll tie it when I'm all done putting all 6 in. So I finished my junk journal yesterday, and this is just the video to go with the Just Julie Junk Journal Challenge, the first one for the month of November. And this is my journal, which is about the ocean, and I used 2 of these ancient exercise books to get the paper, plus I used just black yarn, and I just used some stuff that I had from collages, like in a file folder. So another person from the challenge had made little things out of the backs of business envelopes, and I thought this would be a good way of doing the sea urchins. So that's what those are supposed to be, is sea urchins. And I'll just open this little book up. I just did everything with just regular like bows that you do for your shoes. So here we have my first page. Ogden Point is where I go diving sometimes. So this is basically about the ocean around Victoria on Vancouver Island. And I used a calendar page from the nursing home from where my mom is, and this is a good place for me to organize all my little clippings of ocean stuff, so I was very happy to be doing this. And I used junk mail that had come in, and there's some of it ready for being something else collaged over it. And I think it's quite nice that now I have a little memory book for, there's the other notebook. And I like collaging, so this is kind of fun because it'll give me a place to put my collages. So mostly ocean stuff. This one's being difficult. Good grief. Ugh. That white glue is quite sticky. So I used white glue. There's another page from the nursing home. And an old cartoon. We don't even get the newspaper anymore. There's me from during the 80s. It was hanging around, so I stuck it in. And I'll have some fun being able to fill this up. I used one magazine, a free one, and Focus, and it had this lovely underwater scene in it. And sometimes on windy days you see people surfing, little surfboarding, sailboarding. And the lined paper gives a place for notes. I think that's a Kermode white spirit bear from British Columbia. And yeah, some of these are different sizes. So this is my second junk journal ever. I made one last month as well. And we got lots of seagulls here. And my daughter had gone on a camp a long time ago, and they gave them a very nice reference book for going to the ocean. And I quite like the way this page turned out, because this is just a sticker that my kids had. And then this part opens up. And we've been collecting ocean type stuff for quite a while because my son's always wanted to be a marine biologist, so I've always liked to collect stuff. So here we come to our special little envelope. There's only one big envelope in this book, and here I made a little bonus notebook, which is also tied the same way. So I just have to undo the bow. Excuse me while I undo the bow. It's quite, as I've done the same sort of binding on all of the spines. Now this one originally, it's the size of a raisin box, because I've wanted to make a miniature one for a while. So it's the same size as the miniature box. I just opened a raisin box up and cut the measurements out of file folder. But I didn't like the way that the box didn't look all that clean. It still had raisin residue, and I decided this way my books would all go together quite nicely, because the second part, the mini challenge in this challenge, was to create a second journal, a smaller one, but out of envelope. So that's what this one is, but I'll be doing a separate video for that one. I'm not covering it in this. But the little miniature one, I put the same sort of paper in, and I stuck in a couple of pictures. There's not too many, but this could be used for, say, going to the seashore and just recording the kinds of things that I've seen there. So that's my little mini one. And this will give me a place to work for quite a while. And we have these sorts of woodpeckers here. Oh, and one thing I like seeing is the kite surfers. I do have one of my Willows Beach vlogs has kite surfing. It was quite interesting to see how they set up the like their little parachutes. And whales are always fun. You occasionally see whales around here, and then scallops. So this is kind of just how I've done it. Here's another card from the mail. And I like them because they're quite hard, and so they're good for putting in. Sand castles. Parksville Up Island usually has a sandcastle competition in the summer. And there's the other half of the big spread from the magazine. There's a nudibranch. I dive, so I quite like the ocean theme. And then I took ballet as a kid, so I put that in there because it was hanging around. And this kind of looks like a stellar sea lion to me. I did actually see one of these giants when I was diving one time. It was the closest I've ever been to that size of wild animal. And I like sailboats. And this is part of the magazine, talking about an artist. And I'll probably end up covering those sheets. Goodness. Next time I do a video, I think I'm going to unstick all the pages beforehand. That's a little embarrassing. But yeah, I was pretty lucky with that little magazine that I had hanging around. Here we have some starfish and sea urchins. You see those here. And I like how peaceful the fishing boat is in the mist. And there's part of the magazine cover focus. They cover arts here as well. And there's lots of pages for writing, journaling. This one didn't get decorated, but it did get an octopus there. And another piece of the cover. Now here, this one here, I only use paper clips. That's my only fastening. So I caught this idea from another person's junk journal. And so I followed their example and I made a little mini notebook here. See, this is all writable paper. So I was pretty happy to learn how to do that. And then picture under there. Bare feet, because like that's what you need for wading in the ocean. And this past year I was looking into Wim Hof, which in the summer I actually went wading in the ocean quite often. And the Wim Hof, the Iceman, his method is a way of going into the water when it's cold and getting yourself used to it. He's quite interesting to look up. And then this picture here, where it says chain dolphins in 2 lines. This is back when I was in grade 12 doing synchronized swimming at the University of New Brunswick. I was part of their little team, and I thought that was appropriate for like an ocean themed book. And didn't really decorate a lot back here. Bear eating a salmon. We do have a salmon run here at Goldstream Park in the fall. And here we have a picture of Chinatown in Chinese New Year. Victoria has Canada's oldest Chinatown. And I think that's just about it. Kayaking, rowing, there's all kinds of stuff you can do here. So that's that. And there's my little sea urchins. Now the things that I used was just like black yarn in the way I managed to poke holes, I wouldn't recommend. I ended up using a knife, which I think is a little bit crazy because it was a little bit dangerous, so don't really recommend that. And these are the little scissors that I cut everything out with, and basically I just used a paper clip to poke holes to make my binding for the signatures. So you can sort of see them here at the top right there. See, there's my signatures. Well, there's the signatures in there. One thing I did learn from making a mistake here is that once you've measured all your pages, don't second guess yourself when you're putting them into your book, because what happened was I decided one set here was too tall and I trimmed it down, and now it's too small. So that was a bit of a learning lesson, but that's all good, eh? And the penguins are falling down on the job because they're so tired from working on this. So thanks for watching, and this was a good challenge and I enjoyed it.